Welcome to the Midnight Matinee with your host and hostess, Robert and Angi Curtis.
Welcome, everybody, to the Midnight Matinee.
Hello.
We just got back from the movies. What did we see?
We went to see The Monkey. I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah. Well, for those who don't know, we'll go ahead and I'll give the short overview. When twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up monkey, a series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart. 25 years later, the monkey begins a new killing spree, forcing the estranged siblings to confront the cursed toy.
Yeah.
So this movie was written and directed by Osgood Perkins. But it was based on the, I think, 1980 short story by Stephen King called The Monkey, which I haven't read in a very long time.
Yeah, I had a collection of his short stories, the one that had the 286 or whatever that...
He's had a lot of short stories anthologies, like, with the ones with Cat's Eye. And the Four Seasons and all that,
So, that's where this comes from. The director, what's his name, Osgood Perkins, is Anthony Perkins' son.
Yep. So, the Norman Bates and...
Psycho.
Yeah. So he falls totally in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But, okay.
So, yeah.
Here's the big question. Bob, what did you think?
I loved it. We had watched a review earlier in the week, which he didn't say a whole lot, which I was thankful for, but he did say that he felt awkward seeing it in the theater because he was laughing at some parts of the movie, and other people were horrified at parts of the movie. And I felt the same exact way. Like, there was a lot of it where I was dying laughing, and the other people in the theater were like, oh!
So, people with a little bit of a twisted personality, this is definitely, it's like more like a black comedy would be a good word. Thankfully, we decided to go. I had to take my car in this afternoon, so I got home early. So we caught a 3:40 showing of it, and there was a whole, 6 of us in the entire theater. So it was definitely not people-y.
Yeah, so we had our whole row to ourselves, and the closest people to us were like 2 or 3 rows back.
Yeah, so they couldn't hear us, because there was times I'm like, oh my!
There's more than a few scenes where I was laughing so hard. Just the absolute absurdity of it. It is so funny.
Well, and it's funny that all these people are dying by crazy accidents.
Yeah.
Like, just... And I think that there are some, if you've seen the trailer for it, then you know what we're talking about. Like, this monkey, you wind it up, it does its little thing, and then you know something bad's going to happen. Yeah. And the whole time, I'm sitting there, I told him this afterwards, I'm like, I was sitting the whole time waiting for the second shoe to drop. Because nothing was right with this thing once that monkey started going.
Yeah, it was really good. I really appreciate the story of this movie. We haven't seen a dark humor comedy like this, that was actually good anyway.
Yeah.
In a while. And like I feel bad about because our channel is horror movies, and we've seen 2 horror comedies in a row. So
oh yeah,
here we are again.
We went to see Hard Eyes, but
yeah.
we're trying to have new content as well as old content, good content and bad content.
Yeah, and this movie I would recommend to go see, especially in the theater, because it's fun for other people to be like, oh, gross or whatever. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, there were some scenes where I was just like chuckling, but
yeah,
I do have a very dark and twisted side to me. So
the acting in this is really good.
It's not quote unquote serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple scenes in this where you could tell they're just having fun with it, because it's so absurd that whatever. But it was very good. I had a great time.
Oh, that Theo James definitely, because he played the 2 brothers.
Yeah.
He played both parts because they were twins.
Right.
And yeah, he was off the charts with it. He's
in a comedy on Netflix called The Gentleman.
Yeah.
and he is fantastic in that. And that's why I thought I would definitely like this movie, because he's a really, really good actor, and he absolutely crushes it in this one.
This one, kind of reminded me of, the Final Destination, how things are like a chain of events, and then something happens that you don't suspect. That's what this kind of reminded me of.
Yeah.
Like, things all of a sudden, like a mouse trap kind of thing, almost. Would be the best way.
Like the Rube Goldberg device. It's many, and there's actually even a part in this movie where it's kind of like Mousetrap, where the ball rolls down the thing and then goes into the basket, and then it stops in the basket, and you're like, oh man, here we go. Here's where something's going to happen with that ball, and then it doesn't until it does, and then you're like, wow.
Now, I don't want to give any spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers, but this monkey causes weird and bizarre accidents.
Yeah.
And I said to him after the fact that there was someone who died in the film that didn't die from what I would call an accident.
Yeah.
So it makes you ponder, was it not his doing?
It was a 1 in a million medical thing that happened to her.
Yeah.
So, and the monkey did play the drum, so technically it did cause it, but it wasn't the elaborate Rube Goldberg device that killed this character. It was a medical thing that killed this character, but it was extravagant.
Yeah.
Regardless, so
I don't know. I raised the question.
Yeah.
I like to raise questions. So.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, what were we going to rate it?
Oh, I was thinking in the movie theater. I'd either put
our thing up.
I was thinking it's either Nightmare Fuel or a Hell's Bell, in my opinion.
Yeah, anytime that you can laugh this many times in a dark comedy, it's a Hell's Bells, in my opinion.
Especially in a horror movie.
Yeah, because most of the time when it's a black comedy or dark comedy or however you want to call it, people get all in the weeds about that, but it's most of the time we watch it and they're kind of like, yeah, whatever, that's. But I mean, I was rolling at a couple of scenes in this movie. It is just so, and it's not your typical college humor where it's just something, like a typical thing where like the drawer opens up and like a vibrator falls out or something like that. You're just like, bleh.
No, none of that.
No, this is all of these, they all land, and this is what I always say about movies, too, is like, don't show me something in the first act and then not use it in the third. And this movie follows through in every single one of those.
And it starts from the very moment, the very first scene.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, I mean, there is like no change. And I guess the monkey belonged to his father at the beginning, and that's where it kind of starts is, oh, that's the father who had the monkey. And this monkey, you can't get rid of it.
Right. They tried. Times.
No, they can't get rid of it.
Yeah. No spoilers. We're not going to give any spoilers because this is still in theaters. Yeah. So.
Well, and I have this weird thing. I hate ventriloquist dolls. I hate clown dolls. I hate porcelain dolls. And this monkey is right up there. Like, I don't know what it is with things that are...
The maquette, or whatever you want to call it, the actual monkey in this movie is disturbing.
Yeah.
Because it has... like, its mouth opens, but it's like lips retract, and they show this rows of like real teeth, not like doll teeth, and its eyes have a depth to it.
Yeah, it's like,
so yeah, when it stares at you in the movie, you're kind of like staring into the iris of it, and you're like
staring into the soul, like it's like it.
Yeah. It's used in really good effect in this, and they destroy the monkey several times, and not I'm going to spoil it why or how, and it keeps coming back, and the thing is already old when the dad buys it, and then it looks exactly the same in 2025 as it did in 1999.
Yeah.
So when we first see the monkey, it's in 1999. And over the course of that 25 years, it doesn't age at all. this, like kids' toys. You see, like if I go in the attic and get my old Millennium Falcon from 1978,
It's going to be
or
dirty
whatever,
and
it's
grimy
gonna
and
be all
dusty and
beat up.
warped.
Right.
He's got this attic, and I swear to God, it must be like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, it's like the
warehouse.
TARDIS. It's like the TARDIS. There's a whole universe up there.
Because
But
he's always like, it's in the attic. It's in the attic. I'm like, how much is in this attic?
all of it. Everything's in the attic.
Toys in the attic.
But that makes it even more disturbing, is because this doll doesn't weather at all, and it's been dispatched several times over the course of this, and it always comes back and it looks just as worn as it did in 1999.
Yeah.
It's not brand new, because its little drum has little scratches on it from playing the drum, and
You can see, like,
yeah, his little hands, the little drumsticks have a little bit of weathering on it, but it's that status through the entire movie. So it is very off-putting.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. And maybe it's some kind of something deep in our DNA that we are unnerved by things that look real but aren't real.
Yeah.
Like, what do you call it? There's a name for that you call it.
The Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But
and this monkey has that. Its eyes, they look like cabochons, like it's supposed to be, but there's a depth to it. So it looks like a real eyeball when you zoom into it. And there's a couple times in this movie where the camera zooms in, and then it slowly zooms in even more, and it just keeps like zooming into the little monkey's eyeball, and you're like, it looks like a real eye almost, like
it's got the iris and the whole bit and the whole.
And there's like when you look into the iris of the eye, you can see inside of it. So it's very disturbing. I loved it.
Yeah.
I highly recommend this movie. I thought that the Heart Eyes was the top movie that we've seen this year for as far as horror goes, but I would have to say this edged it out a little bit, because it's not much higher, but it is higher than Hard Eyes in my opinion.
I kind of like to see it again and kind of like,
I'd like to watch it at home, where we were more able to focus on the movie instead of all the stuff. At least we had people who know cinema etiquette this time. They shut their phones off, and
I was to say there was not a peep from anybody.
They didn't yap through the whole movie. The only thing I heard in the theater was when the people were horrified because I couldn't stop laughing at this one scene.
They're like, that's one twisted guy down there.
And I was dying. As a funeral director, there's a funeral. There's multiple funerals in this movie, and every one of them is over the top. So
oh my God!
Silly.
And there are some good actors.
Yeah.
Like at the funeral, that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can, we'll put in the pastor.
The pastor.
Yeah.
Loved the pastor.
Yeah, he was. Everybody in this, they're not just awkward, but they're like normal people. Like their portrayal of it is like a normal person. Like nobody in this movie is like a superstar or a millionaire or whatever. Like I guess the one guy's dad, the stepdad, is like a millionaire or whatever for writing self-help books about being a dad.
Who was played by oh my God,
Elijah Wood.
Yeah. He was just smarmy as can be in this movie.
But every other character in this is like your neighbor or like some guy down the street. There's they're not exceptional. They're not super intelligent. They're just regular old people, and that adds a dimension to these characters, because it's like all these extravagant things are happening to like regular old people who just
let's just say that the monkey at one point rains down on the whole damn town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the scene with the. Nah, I'm not.
I know. I wanted to say.
I want to say it, but I'm like,
I was like, I can't, because it's just.
Be prepared for a roller coaster ride.
Yes. I'm thoroughly.
Because I think also because the monkey is so random.
Yeah.
Like you think you can tell it what to do, but you can't.
Right. And it doesn't, like, there's a part in the movie too. It's not really a spoiler, so I can tell you, where the one brother is telling the other one that he keeps trying to use it like as a weapon, but it doesn't do what you want it to do. It's just every time that you wind it up, somebody's going to die, and you don't know who, and the only safety is the person who turns the key doesn't get killed.
Well, that's what they believe.
Right. Well, that's what he believed. It didn't come with a manual or anything.
No.
That's what he thinks.
Well, and it comes in this box, organ grinder monkey, and it says not lifelike.
No, it says like life.
Like a life.
Like life, it says. Not lifelike. Like life.
Like life.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's in a Tiffany blue hat box that it just perfectly fits in.
And what's funny though is like the mom at the beginning. I mean, she was like, "Everyone dies."
Yeah.
And it's true, Like,
yeah.
So who was it? Was it in the movie? We said that that most often people either say "oh shit" or "holy shit" right before they die. But we know we are going to die.
Right.
I mean, it's not like it should be a surprise to us. It's going to happen. And she said exactly what I've always said. It's not about how or when, or no, it's about when, I guess, is what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is true. You don't know when. How are you going to go out? Go out in a blaze of glory? You could, hurry up again. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, so what did we decide? Do we want to put it as a Hell's Bells or a Nightmare?
I'm giving it Hell's Bells.
He's giving it a Hell's Bell, which is 5 out of 5 on our scale. I thought it was really good. I can't wait to actually see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, because now that the shock of the stuff that's happening is over, like that initial jump of wow, now that you know what's going to happen, you can appreciate more. That's why I always say about, like, when you see like the I Know What You Did Last Summer, or those types of movies, the Screams and whatever.
Yeah.
Once the shock of it is over and you watch it the second time, then you notice a lot more stuff going on in the background of it.
Yeah.
And I already noticed a few times in this movie there was things hidden in the background of stuff that was going on, and I'd like to rewatch it and then.
So there were Easter eggs.
Yeah,
and stuff.
there were Easter eggs in a lot of.
Yeah,
parts
I didn't
of the
even
movie.
have any idea that Osgood Perkins was related to Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
So I was like looking it up. I'm like, oh wow, and he actually played him a young version in Psycho 2.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
Right. That's kind of cool to play. Have your son play you in
In fact,
a movie.
I think Anthony Perkins played in a movie called Magic. Do you remember that movie with the ventriloquist doll?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing! I saw that as a kid, and once again, it goes with the ventriloquist dolls. Scared the hooties out of me.
Yeah, I have a bad memory with ventriloquist dolls. When I was little, we went to a talent show. They had a talent show at the school, right? And this guy was pretending to have a ventriloquist dummy, and he's got the dummy sitting on his lap, and he's blah 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 talking to it, doing his shtick, and he does all the things, he drinks the water, blah blah blah, and then he sets the doll down and goes over, and the doll got up and was like walking across the stage and like ran, and it was a kid the whole time.
Oh,
and it scared the life out of me as a little kid, because you see ventriloquist dummy so often, and it got me good. And I, to this day, whenever I see some guy with a ventriloquist dummy, I'm like, if that thing runs at me, I'm gonna cut it.
My parents actually had.
It's childhood trauma.
I had the is it Charlie doll, and Heather had the Mortimer Smurd, and I was like, that goes in the closet.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it.
You gotta keep it in a locked box at night. I've seen Goosebumps. You're not.
Oh,
you're
Slappy.
not getting me, right? You're not getting me.
What was that other one they had? I can't think of it. Silence or something or.
Oh yeah. The movies.
I don't know what it is, but once again, it goes back to those dolls.
Right, it's the uncanny valley of it. Like, there's something that's programmed into humans that when you see something that's human-like, but it's not a human, then it automatically sets off your spider sense, like.
Now, I don't think you ever saw the movie The Boy, the one that.
No.
See, I really liked The Boy, and it was one of those things. The first time I watched it, and I was like, and then I watched it again. I'm like, oh, now I can kind of see what's going on. Like when she said, like, oh, I pick up on the hints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Good.
100%. Go see it.
Did you watch anything? Oh, he made me watch that,
The Vortilac.
The Vortilac the other night, and that is definitely creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was all in French subtitles, but it was really, he is right, it was really well done. That
the maquette or whatever, the puppet, it is. it gets you. There's a couple of scenes. There's more than one scene in that where you're like, you're not paying attention to what's going on because you're looking at the puppet like, how are they doing? And then the thing happens, and you're like,
You
oh.
scared me.
Anytime a movie can do that it gets you good. You
Yeah.
know, that's a good movie to watch.
What was
Yeah.
it? You watched anything else this week? You said you were watching something the other day. I thought you said.
I've been rewatching a bunch of '80s like sci-fi horror that for some reason that these companies like Shout Factory and stuff have started remastering these early '80s like sci-fi horror movies. So I've been rewatching them, and I'm really impressed with the some of these movies that I watched when I was little, and I'm like, why was I even allowed to watch this movie when I was like 10? You know, like there's no way the 10-year-old should be watching this movie.
No, there was some that I was like, we had like, Cinemax, or as some people call it, Skinemax and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, you're like, we actually stopped after we had to drop his taxes off, and before the movie, we had some small amount of time to kill,
Yeah.
and we went into this used.
It used to be a used record shop,
Yeah.
but now it's just more like a collection of junk.
We're not even sure, but they had like all sorts of crazy stuff. But you were showing me one.
Yeah, they
some
had
book-
a VHS copy of Satan's Slaves. If you know, you know. Satan's Slaves was a back in the day, they used to give X ratings to horror movies, right? The Exorcist, the original cut of The Exorcist had an X rating, and this is one of those movies. So they decided that if you're going to make us carry the X rating, then we're going to go all out. So the sex scenes in that movie are straight up porn, and it's one of those like cult movies because it's so hard to find. You know that.
I'm surprised you didn't pick it up.
They wanted like $28 for it.
They were only taking cash. Too.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm not paying $28 for
Kind of like the
VHS
Metallica
tape.
album. Is this 2 or 200?
Right. They had a Injustice for All LP from like Best Buy or something.
And it's
you know,
beat up to
it's
hell.
like $4 maybe $4.
They wanted $200.
And it had 200 on it.
But the zeros
And the
were
zeros were small. So I asked, is this 2 or 200? And she's like, oh, that's 200. I'm like, well, then why is it out? If it's worth $200 in your world, you should put it in the cabinet and lock it up. And some kid comes in here and busts the record, now he's out $200.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it. Not worth. You can go on Discogs and buy that thing all day long for $4. And calm down, lady.
Yeah. This place was like walking out of.
It used to be like,
It really used to have a lot of stuff, and you could find a lot of rare stuff.
yeah.
Like, unless you wanted to, we have a big record store here up in, why am I drawing a blank on the name? The one up in
Euclid.
the Loop. Not Euclid Records, the one up on the Loop. But anyway,
Anyway.
if you didn't want to go all the way
Vintage
up
vinyl.
there, vintage vinyl, yes.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to go there, you could go to this place, because they had a good selection. In
Yeah.
fact, that's where you got your Josie.
Like Josie and the Pussycats CD.
Soundtrack. Yeah, he actually asked the guy that was working, and he's like, "Well, we don't have it in now. It comes in every once
in a while. It's rare. It's very, very rare. If you know anything about that.
And he actually called him when one came in.
Yep.
He called him.
And I went right over there and bought it.
Yep.
And he was all excited. He's like, "Oh, I know." Anybody who's a Letters to Cleo fan knows that the Josie and the Pussycats album is like the fourth one of the.
Oh, they're out, yeah.
So it's hard to find because the movie didn't do well.
No.
But the soundtrack is fantastic. So
Yeah.
if I advise you, if you can get it, because it's not on iTunes or anything,
Yeah.
and it is really, really good. If you like Letters to Cleo,
we really, obviously our niche is horror,
Yeah.
but we like a wide range. I mean, this guy's got top 10 lists of subgenres and subgenres and that, and even somewhere. He's always like, this is on my top 5, and I'm like, what? I thought that one was on your top 5.
Well, not top 5 of all times.
He's got a lot of top 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is so good.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna reel us
Reel
back.
it back. We got off on a tangent.
I joked the other night because there's film reels and we reel it back. I was like, oh, we made a pun. The dad jokes. And this is produced by David Wan, obviously under his Atomic. Is it Atomic?
Atomic Monster.
Monster, yes.
Yep.
So this is, it does come from a good horror background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Neon.
Yeah,
Distribute. Yeah.
Neon. Well, and actually, we actually did our due diligence. We stayed to the very end, thinking that there might be a post credit, maybe something that
Right.
alluded, and there was
There was actually a
preview.
sneak trailer kind of at the end of it.
Yes, for a different movie from
Yeah.
Osgood Perkins.
Yeah.
So, if you want to see that, and that was actually, I was like, what is going on here?
I
'Cause
know, so we were about to leave because it got all the way to the
they were showing the
shields.
music, and they were showing, this.
Because once you get to the shields at the end, like the SAG-AFTRA sign and the
this is
Panavision
animal,
or whatever,
no,
yeah, that's the end of. That's where, like, 2 seconds after that is where the scene cuts off, and then it started playing the music that the monkey makes.
Yep.
And
we're
I was like, wait
"Stop!"
a minute. So we had to go back in to see what it was, and
Reverse.
then it played this. It wasn't even a trailer; it's like a teaser for the
Yeah, and it was
this
disturbing.
upcoming show.
We're like,
what
what
was
is
it
this?
called?
I can't remember.
I can't even remember either.
But it said coming soon.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So that I'll stay till the end of the movie. You see some cool stuff.
yeah.
Sometimes it didn't have a mid roll, so we were about to leave. But we did our due diligence and waited till the very end.
Yeah, they were already cleaning up.
Yeah, they were already trying to
In
run
fact,
us out of there.
the two guys that came cleaning was like, I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
See, because
That's why we-
sometimes I'll ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask them when they're cleaning up. I'm like, hey, is there a post-credit scene? And 99 times out of 100, they're like, no, there's no post-credit scene. And then as you're walking out, something happens. You're like, oh, what is this then, knucklehead?
we learned that from Marvel.
Right. Yeah, Marvel,
Marvel made us.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the first one that
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that in. So that's why
Why are you still here?
Right. Go home.
Get out of this film.
Right.
Oh, I love Ferris.
Yeah, that was very funny when Deadpool did that in
Oh,
his
yeah,
movie. He was wearing the robe in the hallway of Ferris Bueller's house and everything. He's like, "Why are you?"
That first Deadpool movie,
That was it was
Absolutely.
comedy gold.
hilarious.
Yeah,
But and it had that. It did also did have a little bit. It was obviously an action movie, but it did have a little bit of that dark humor
oh yeah, Deadpool is a
with
very
the crazy
humorous
death.
comic book.
Yeah, if you like to see a lot of crazy death. I had faith.
Yeah, yeah. If you're a fan of the final, what is it?
Final
Destination movies. This is kind of like that, only it's a comedy instead of being,
Yeah.
straight laced like the Final Destination movies are. There's a lot of those Rube Goldberg type death scenarios in this movie, and it pays off. There's a lot of comedy throughout, and it's very dark comedy because like I said, we were laughing. She didn't laugh as much as I did because it was in my wheelhouse with a lot of the funeral
I was
humor.
just like, oh my goodness.
The people behind us were not having any of it because I was dying and I could hear them just like.
Why is he laughing like that? That's not funny.
when
did people lose their sense of humor? Is what I wanna
exactly
know.
like when did we become people that can't have a chuckle at something that's absurd?
Yeah.
It's not like that actor was killed in the scene. You know what I mean? He's still out making movies. You can get over yourself.
They're not maiming puppies or anything
Right.
like that. But okay, we're reeling it back again.
Reeling our reel.
Okay, we're giving it the 5. We're giving it the Hell's Bells, and
It's
I
highly recommended.
so I guess we'll see you next time on the
Midnight Matinee.
See ya.
See you, everybody.
You've been watching the Midnight Matinee, brought to you by the Veritas Project. So when the clock strikes 12, grab your tickets for the next episode of the Midnight Matinee.